Welcome to this month's guest episode for the Law of Positivism podcast. My beloved sister Shireen Oberg has invited me to record these monthly episodes for you. I'm Annabel du Boulay. I am an author, speaker, a specialist in the Rose lineage, the Celtic lineage, and peeling back the layers of patriarchal appropriation and manipulation of these ancient myths and archetypes for the healing and empowerment of women and for the restoration of those original Gnostic teachings. So this month, I'm going to be sharing some teachings with you on Beltane, the festival of love, fertility, sexuality, and sensuality. I have no notes with me this month because I have literally lived and breathed the mythos and archetypal energies of Beltane and its access with Samhain for many, many years. I literally spent probably the whole of my 30s and early 40s walking with this ancient goddess of love and war, who I'm going to be exploring with you tonight. And then I'm going to be guiding you on a journey, not only with these Beltane energies, but with this incredibly powerful full moon in Scorpio. Beltane is always celebrated in the Northern Hemisphere anyway on May the 1st, when the sun is typically in Taurus. Taurus ruled by Venus, ancient goddess of love. And so we always have a full moon in Scorpio. And this is what I'm going to be really deeply exploring tonight, is this axis between Beltane and Samhain and between Taurus and Scorpio. And then after I share some teachings, I will take you on that guided journey with these Beltane and full moon in Scorpio energies. So, Beltane, Celtic festival of love, fertility, sexuality, sensuality. It's typically celebrated on the 30th of April, Beltane Eve, and on May the 1st. This is one of the Celtic fire festivals that sits in the middle of the spring equinox and the summer solstice. The whole of Mother Nature is blossoming and blooming, and there is a sense of joy, of abundance, and also of expectation in the air. It's a time to celebrate, to look forward to these coming summer months after the darkness of winter. But as I mentioned, Beltane sits opposite Samhain on the Celtic wheel of the year. And so we have this festival of love, of divine union, of sacred marriage, of joy, of the blossoming, the blooming, the flowering. And it sits opposite the festival of Samhain, of the death, the loss, the grief, but then the transformation that comes within that dark void or within the dark cave of the Black Goddess, that then gives birth to the new light, the new dawn, when the sun is reborn at the winter solstice. So this axis on my Philosophia Wheel of the Year is, for me, the most powerful axis. And as I mentioned, it's an archetypal energy that I've spent many years of my life walking with. So I've learned many, many lessons from this ancient goddess of love and war. And this is such an important aspect to reclaim in these Rose lineage teachings, because the original goddess of love was always a goddess of love and war. And this actually comes in the Rose lineage from that original star blueprint of Venus, the planet Venus, who in her journey in the night skies is both the morning star and the evening star. So she embodies both aspects of the light and the dark. And then we see this in the mythos embodied in first of all, ancient Sumerian Inanna, who was the goddess of love and war. She then flows down into Babylonian Ishtar. We see it also in the Greco-Romano Aphrodite Venus, and then coming down into Gnostic Magdalene, then coming, or her mythos, coming to Glastonbury, where it really weaves with that of Celtic Rhiannon, Blodeuwedd. And what is so fascinating, as I specialized in tracking this ancient goddess of love and war down the millennia of the Rose lineage, was to see the repeated symbolism through those different cultures of, for example, the dove or the shell, the yoni shell, and really seeing how patriarchal religion tried to distort this mythos by splitting the light and shadow aspects of this goddess of love, so that we get, for example, the Virgin Mary, virgin as in pure, sterile, and then we get the sexual aspect of this ancient lover goddess projected onto figures who embody the prostitute, the sacred prostitute or whore, such as Magdalene. So Beltane is an invitation to really reclaim both aspects of the light and the shadow, of love and loss, and to really understand that Beltane invites us to open to love, to experiencing love, to giving and receiving love in a much deeper way than we have before. And we can only do that if we find the courage to allow ourselves to be vulnerable to the potential, the possibility of loss, of being rejected, of being abandoned. And so for me, this is why this axis is so important. And it's so important that we don't just work with Beltane, with one festival. We're always, when we're working with these festivals on the philosophy Wheel of the Year, we're always working with them as an axis. We're always working with their counter energies, archetypal energies, because of course they're both aspects of one axis. So that is why the Beltane energies often feel really intense, because we've got this Samhain counterbalance and the full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio, of course, embodying the Samhain energies of the deep dives, the deep soul descents into those shadow places in order to transform. And these dark nights of the soul, these scorpionic energies, are the most intense in our lives when they are in relationship to love and loss. Because love is our primary emotion, obviously. It's the people we love, love for self, love for others. And that is where we experience the greatest fear around loss. Because say we're with someone who we don't love that much, well, we don't fear losing them that much, do we? But if we deeply, deeply love someone, then it's a big, big fear of losing that love. So it's always commensurate to how much we love and the fear of the loss. So I've been on such a deep journey with this, not only within relationships, as in intimate relationships, but also actually on my mothering journey. And I think potentially the greatest lesson I was ever taught around love actually was by my disabled son. And I know I've shared this with clients who've worked with me and in my newsletters. But it was when Zach was about 2, and I realized that I was emotionally disengaging from him. So I was going through the motions as a mother and nurse of nursing him and ensuring he was alive and safe and secure. But I had unconsciously put up a barrier around my heart because his airway was still very unstable at that time. I was still needing to resuscitate him. He was still choking so much. And I had a very deep fear that he wasn't going to survive. And unconsciously, it was as if the briars from that fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty had grown around my heart to protect me. And when I became conscious of this, I had to make a conscious decision to allow my heart to crack open to loving him so fiercely for every moment that he was alive, even if that meant that his potential loss was going to be even more excruciatingly painful. And that for me was one of his greatest teachings for me, is to what extent could I cut away those briars that were protecting and defending my heart and allow the petals of my heart to open, to blossom, to bloom, to allow a depth of love, even in the face of that fear of extreme loss. And this for me is what the archetypal energy of the spring equinox, of that spiritual warrior, gives us. It's the strength and the courage that dwells within our solar plexus as the embodiment of the spiritual warrior who is whole unto herself, who is virgin in that she is beholden to no one and no thing but her own primal essence and her own relationship with her soul and source and guides. It is that power that comes from that sense of inner wholeness that gives us that strength to open our hearts to truly, deeply loving, even in the face of loss, of rejection, abandonment. Because ultimately, we know that if the worst happens and we experience that loss, that we will survive. We will survive because we have that primary relationship with ourself, our soul, and with source, with the divine, in whatever way we experience that. And that does give us that sense of fearlessness to take that risk, to love with your whole heart. And what happens is that each time that we dare to open our heart that bit more and trust, we build resilience, we build that strength, we build that courage, and we get braver and braver about allowing ourselves to be truly vulnerable. And when we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable, then we can embody our authentic self at an even greater depth. And then when we enter into those relationships with the other, be them intimate or platonic, we have the capacity to relate at a much more authentic level because we don't fear that rejection so much. You know, that's why we spend so many of the early years in our lives hiding behind these masks, pretending to be someone we're not, because we're so utterly terrified that if we reveal our true self, if we embody our authentic self, and we're rejected for being that that authentic self, that's going to be so horrific to experience that we'd rather hide behind a mask. But once we've got to that point of loving ourselves, of truly deeply loving ourselves in all our shadow and our light, and we enter into communion with someone else from that place of that authentic self, and they reject us, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's their loss. Because we've always got ourselves to come back to. And I think this is one of the reasons why, as you age, and a lot of people, a lot of women say this about hitting perimenopause, and I would utterly agree with this, is you get to a point where you just stop caring so much what people think or how people react or whether they love you or not, because you love yourself and you love the divine source, however you experience that. And you don't need people from that place of lack, of needing someone else to fill some void in you, because you're already whole unto yourself. You already meet your own needs. So then when you come into communion with someone else, you're not looking to them to fill that. You're just rocking up as your authentic self and enjoying that interplay, be it shadow or light. Now, again, there is a caveat to this. I love my caveats on these podcasts, which is that I don't think you ever get to a place of complete wholeness within yourself. I think that would be like reaching nirvana. So I feel that this is the gift of relationships. So for me, and I'm on my third marriage, so this comes from decades of experience of relationships, is that you have to come to a certain point of your own inner sacred marriage, which we explored at the spring equinox, of becoming whole unto yourself, before you can enter into a relationship from as least codependent place as possible. However, I think the gift of a relationship, especially an intimate relationship, is that they typically hold up a mirror, the mirror of the goddess of love, this symbol that you can literally track down the mythos through the millennia. They hold up her mirror to those remaining unhealed parts of you, or those deeper levels and layers of those parts of you that you might have already spent years working on, healing, transforming. And that is the gift of them. But you have to get to a point of strength within yourself to allow yourself to be that vulnerable, to be your true authentic self for your beloved, to hold up that mirror to those deeper layers of unhealed parts, so that you can do that work within the safety of that sacred container that is held with love, honor, trust, loyalty, respect. And that gift of looking in that mirror, which is never easy. None of us like to look in that mirror. But when we do it with someone else and we hold each other through that experience, it takes us to places within those relationships that are so profound, that are so deep, that they become such a blessing and such a catalyst on our own personal journeys, and then on your journey as a union, a sacred union. Nothing is certain. Nothing is certain in life. You can't control the other person, and you can't control the relationship. But if you can reach a point of acceptance around that, that there is no control, you cannot control whether you're going to lose someone or to lose a relationship. But when you can get your head and your heart around that, it is so utterly liberating because then you can just be fully present in that moment. You can be in the joy and the bliss of it, and you can also see the gift of the shadow times when you're both having to work deeply with whatever's coming up together. So the last thing I wanted to touch on in relation to Beltane is that all the goddesses of love are born from the sea. They are born from the primordial depths of Grandmother Ocean, of this primordial womb of the Mother Goddess. And they are born on the backs of the wild horses, the white horses of the ocean, the wild horses. So, one of the most powerful energies of Beltane, of the goddess of love, is freedom. And this is why I work so deeply with the archetype of the liberated lover on my Philosophia wheel at Beltane. And this truly is about how I just touched previously on needing to have this sense of freedom within a relationship, the letting go of the need to try to control, which is coming from that fear place. But through that liberation of the self, of the love of the self, we can then become truly liberated within that relationship and in relationship to our beloved. And with this year being that Chinese lunar year of the fire horse, I'm feeling those energies so, so powerfully. So these full moon in Scorpio energies, the full moon this year is actually happening on Beltane. If you have been experiencing the energies as really intense, then that is absolutely to be expected. Um, I actually reached a real crescendo earlier today, and I was like, right, I just have to get out on the land. So I took myself off to walk up Burrow Mump, the sacred hill near where I live in the chapel, where the Michael and Mary dragon lines actually meet in their sacred marriage in the center of the ruins of St. Michael's Tower, right on top of this incredible sacred hill. And it's the next place that they meet in that sacred marriage, having met at the Abbey, Glastonbury Abbey. And as I was hiking up the hill this afternoon, and the sun was so beautiful, but I was feeling the real intensity of these energies, and all the sheep were there. And then I suddenly saw this one black sheep in the center of all these white sheep. And I just could not stop giggling to myself because it was such a sign from Goddess, from the goddess of love and war, around this sacred marriage between the light and the shadow, between Beltane and Samhain, between Taurus and Scorpio, between love and loss, and also this archetype of the black sheep. And I just wanted to touch on that because it came as such a strong message from Goddess today, that so many of us who walk this path, this spiritual path, or are drawn to it, and to working with this ancient goddess of love and war, contracted to be the black sheep within either our biological family or our community in which we grew up, or potentially our communities in which we've walked as adults. And this is such a powerful figure that we embody of the black sheep, because it is by being the black sheep, by metaphorically carrying the projected shadow of others, of being the witch who is exiled, who is projected upon, that we become the breaker of chains. We liberate our ancestral lines. We liberate the women in our mother lines who perhaps weren't able to live freely. And we come to embody that freedom, that deep sense of self-love, because we've had to, by being that black sheep, by being exiled, by being projected upon. We are forced through many, many challenges and many challenging situations to have to dig so deep for our own sense of self-love and self-worth that we come to truly embody that depth of the liberated lover who has the courage and strength of the spiritual warrior to open their heart to truly deeply loving, to being completely vulnerable as our authentic self, because it is the journey of embodying the black sheep that actually liberates us, because it empowers us to become that warrior, the virgin warrior, the goddess of love and war. So when I reached the top of Barmump and I was sitting in the tower in the sun, and I was at a really edge place, those edge places that you reach no matter how many decades of therapy you've done. And I was like, oh, this is not good. So I just want to share with you what I do when I reach those edge places, because we all reach them. It doesn't matter how many decades that we've walked this path. It doesn't matter how much therapy we've done, what we've survived. We will always reach edge places, especially when the full moon is in Scorpio. So I sit on Mother Earth. Obviously, ensure that you are somewhere safe. I take my shoes off and I put my feet on the bare earth to ground to earth. I then use a breathing technique where I inhale twice and then I exhale completely. And I do that several times, which is scientifically proven to start to calm your nervous system down. I then voice out loud, as long as there's no one around, because that would look weird. I voice out loud exactly how I'm feeling. So I give that part of me who's freaking out complete permission to voice out loud how they're feeling, whatever fear, terror, stress, anxiety is coming up. And I often find I end up saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again until the energy that is coming up from the earth, the energy within my breath that is working in my body, and the vocalization of those shadow feelings, eventually I come to a place of complete peace and calm. And then I have that feeling of, why was I feeling so stressed? But we have to allow it to move through us, to be processed, to be vocalized. And, there's amazing scientific research of what happens to your brain if you actually voice those shadow feelings out loud. And there is a deep transmutation. There's a deep alchemy that happens. And then I was able to come back to Anne and felt in a completely different space. But I think this is one of the gifts of working with these energies at Beltane and the full moon in Scorpio. They are intense. They're intense for a reason. They're intense to take you on that journey that is going to crack your heart open even more. So the petals of that rose of your heart unfurl and allow just that bit more love to flow in and to flow out. So that is my real prayer for you this Beltane, that you will really dare to open your heart that bit more to giving and receiving the love that you so deserve. So I'm going to take you on a guided journey now to work with these energies of Beltane and this full moon in Scorpio. So if you're not driving, just inviting you to close your eyes and just starting to take some deep breaths in through your nose, down to your belly and out through your mouth. Giving thanks to your soul for contracting to be on this journey. As we call to all these energies of Beltane, Celtic festival of love, fertility, sexuality, sensuality, of the sacred marriage, calling to our inner liberated lover, and calling to the soul of any beloved that you desire to bring into this guided journey. Calling to the ancient goddess of love and war. Calling to the planet Venus, Inanna, Ishtar, Astarte, Aphrodite, Venus, Magdalena, Rhiannon, Ladeweth. We call to you, ancient lover goddess. We ask for your blessings on our journey. And may all the love, the liberation that we receive flow within us and through us for the good of all beings and for peace on this earth. And just inviting you to visualize yourself standing at the edge of that sacred forest. And with every breath, just making your way down that path that winds its way through the trees. Becoming aware of an animal guide who's come to accompany you. Perhaps one of the animals of Beltane, the white mare, the unicorn, the birds, with every breath, just journeying deeper and deeper into this sacred forest of your soul, until eventually you come to that circular clearing in the center of this forest. And there, the sacred fire of Beltane is blazing. And just allowing the scene to unfold, noticing all the souls who are gathering to celebrate Beltane, beginning to play their drums, their tamborinos, beginning to dance to the beat of Mother Earth, and just feeling your body, your hips, as you too begin to dance around this sacred fire of Beltane. Feeling the energies of Mother Earth rising up through your feet, up your legs, into your root chakra, into your sacral chakra of love, of sexuality, of sensuality, of creativity. And as you move your hips, feeling how that sacral chakra in which your holy grail resides begins to open, to pulsate with fertility, with creativity. Feeling how as you continue to dance around this sacred fire of Beltane, that energy is now rising up into your solar plexus of your spiritual warrior. That part of you that has the strength, the courage to allow your heart to open. Feeling that energy rising up from your solar plexus chakra, that courage, that strength into your heart chakra. And now visualizing your heart as a rose. Peering into your heart, just noticing whether there are any brambles, any briars that may have formed a wall of protection around your heart. And just coming from a place of soul inquiry, just listening to any messages that those brambles, those briars have for you. What is it that you may still be protecting your heart from? Are there any shadow memories from past experiences that are perhaps still blocking you from fully opening your heart to giving and receiving love? So as you listen to the music and you continue to dance around this sacred fire of Beltane, just feeling into those brambles, those briars, and as you become conscious of what they may represent, beginning to slowly cut them away from your heart and throw them into the Beltane fires of transformation. And then when you've become conscious of what those briars and brambles may represent, continuing to release them into the fires of Beltane and just watching them transform in the flames, perhaps seeing them transmute into a symbol of freedom, of fearlessness, of strength and courage, to open to receive love, to experience love, to give love, to dare to love. And now gazing once more at your heart chakra and seeing that beautiful rose. Perhaps noticing what color it is. And watching now as the petals of that rose begin to unfurl, petal by petal, as you witness the beauty of your heart begin to blossom and bloom within these Beltane energies. Feeling the energies of this full moon in Scorpio. Feeling how the fires of Beltane are alchemizing any fears of loss, of abandonment, of rejection. And feeling how in that alchemy, the rose petals of your heart are blossoming and blooming and opening to love. And now as you gaze at that Beltane fire with an open heart, seeing that ancient goddess of love and war now across the flames, watching as she dances, witnessing how powerful she is, witnessing her strength, her courage, her fearlessness, her depth of self-love, of self-worth. And as you watch her dancing through the flames, listening now to her guidance for you on this full moon in Scorpio and at this festival of Beltane. And then giving thanks to the ancient goddess of love and war, this ancient lover warrior. And now receiving a gift from her that symbolizes this guidance that she's given you. And placing that gift in your heart chakra to carry with you over these coming weeks between Beltane and the summer solstice. This gift that will remind you to keep opening your heart to loving and to being loved. And then giving thanks to the ancient goddess of love and war, the goddess of Beltane. Giving thanks to these full moon and Scorpio energies, knowing and trusting that you can return to this sacred fire to keep releasing and alchemizing and transforming and opening. But for now, taking a deep breath in, coming back into this present moment, feeling the chair, the ground beneath you, taking another deep breath in. Coming back fully into your body, stretching out your arms, your fingers, and when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. Thank you so much to my beloved sister Shireen for inviting me to share this guest episode with you. And if you would like to come and journey with me and with the whole of my Philosophia Wheel, do please come and join me in my monthly membership, Return to the Rose Garden, where I guide you on this Wheel of the Year, weaving both the Celtic wheel with the Rose lineage mysteries and that beautiful Gnostic intersection between goddess pagan theology and feminist Christian theology. But for now, I'm just sending you so much love from Avalon, ancient isle of death, transformation, and rebirth, where we will be celebrating Beltane on Friday with our amazing community pilgrimage and procession and ceremony. So I will be thinking of you all and beaming love from this ancient isle of Avalon.